All right. I'm presuming
You are live.
that we are live. Okay. Um. All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Community, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are encouraged to join in these live stream events, real-world events, share and inspire, and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. We beam out nearly every day, and with your help, have evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on demand tattoo and art shows that have all been received rave reviews. You're currently watching the Early Bird Monday morning drawing group with Kier Franklin. That is your host. That is me here. I am a tattoo artist out of Western Massachusetts. That's where we're beaming out today. If you're curious on how to zoom in, just go over to the reinventingthetattoo.com, go over to watch, and right on the Google Calendar, you can either add future events to your Google Calendar for a reminder or join in right now and come hang out. You may be being in from YouTube or Facebook or listening to the podcast, but can always get latest event schedule and notifications at the official Reinventing the Tattoo community, found at both Apple stores and Google Play stores, or directly at community.reinventingthetattoo.com. If this is working for you, please let us know in the comments chat, and please tag a friend who loves tattoos and would love to hear all the cool topics that are discussed here. All Reinventing the Tattoo Network shows, art jams, drawing groups, interviews, panels, webinars, seriously, can all be joined in on demand and found in the library as well as the YouTube and podcast channels. There are countless tattoos and art rabbit holes to go down of seminars and drawing groups and all that fun stuff. Perfect for a front room of studio or to entertain tattoo clients. I've heard many clients and actually enjoy the background conversation that's happening. They feel more involved in the community and the industry as a whole. In fact, beaming out to 4 channels 24/7. Just feel free to go over to Reinventing the Tattoo or reinventing247.com. Enter to win a goodie bag from our sponsors. Anybody likes free stuff, so that's a way to go for it. Reinventing247.com. Just enter to win a goodie bag and like someone from the list. Look right now, and you can even see that there's Spanish channel as well for our lovely Spanish friends all over the globe. And Cheyenne cartridges, raw pigments, and samples are coming in, so stay tuned for that. Uh, for those of you who don't know, we do have several shows that are beaming out during the week. We have this one, which is the Early Bird Drawing Group with Kier Franklin. Like I said, that's myself. That's every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We have Mondays 11 a.m. Eastern Time, which is the Tattoo Weekly show, where they discuss all events that have happened tattoo-wise the past week with Gabe, Ripley, Lauren, Gregory, and Jake Meeks of Fireside Tattoo. They all nice talk together. It's really great. Mondays at 9 p.m. is the subscribers exclusive with Guy Aitchison. That's his one-on-one class. You will need to have a subscribers package to go for it, but honestly, like, it has changed my art completely in less than 3 months. So honestly, you don't need a lot of classes to see improvement in your work. And Guy comments on your work every single class and lets you know how to improve. You can ask questions. It's a group setting, so you don't feel so uncomfortable. And it's really, really fun. You get assignments like you're back in school again, and you have a great teacher like Guy Aitchison, which is an honor. 10 a.m.s with Ricardo Sturdivant. That's his drawing group. He likes to talk about things like how to see composition and how to discern still lifes onto your canvas. And he sometimes likes to talk about the overall mentality of your art, which is amazing to have. Wednesdays at noon is the Tattoo Now show. Thursdays at 10 a.m. is the Thursday morning fundamentals class with myself. Once again, that is 10 a.m. Eastern time. We talk about all things fundamentals of art and tattooing, and you learn a lot in those things. So I pretty much have a slide that comes up. I'll talk for a good 25 to 45 minutes about whatever the topic may be. And then you have the option of joining in, zooming in, or just leaving comments and questions that I'll love to answer. And even your work, if you would need a small critique, portfolio critique of any sorts, I'd be happy to take a look. And then, of course, Thursdays at noon is the Tattoo Collecting Podcast with Fawn Baker and Jordan Rucas. They always have great guests that come on, and that is something that you could easily put on in the background to put on your shop speakers. We have some upcoming events happening. We have our February 5th and 6th is the Red Tree Gathering here, and I'm about to share my screen real quick to show you guys where you can find all the information for that. Um, as soon as Gabe lets me screen share on here, then I can show you guys exactly what it is. But pretty much it is the amazing Red Tree event in Columbus, Ohio, Art Jam seminars. More information really coming, but we have a great lineup. We have Tony Urbanek coming. We have Nick Mitchell, Jesse Smith, Bob Tyrell. Guy Atchison's going to be beaming in. We have Haley Adams beaming in. We have Fawn Baker going to be there. We have a whole slew of people and a whole slew of seminars that can be virtual or in person. So with the great technology that we have, we can really hone in on, the learning aspects of tattooing with both in person and online, which I think is super cool. So, a few ways to support the show. Make into, you know, um, here we have our sponsors. Thank you so much for helping out and making this free. We have Inkjet Stencil. Oh, just kidding. Not them. We have Interstate Ink LA. Mayno Church from his awesome custom sneakers. His studio is seeking residents and guests, all clean and sober. If you're an artist in recovery looking for a supporting studio or know someone who needs one, on Instagram at Interstate Ink LA. Feel free to check them out, guys. That sounds like an amazing opportunity, and I'll be sure to follow them immediately. Raw Pigments, of course, we got to thank Lauren over here at rawpigments.co, ink company that's tapping into the source. They are an acrylic-free vegan tattoo pigment company that is my all-time favorite. They are absolutely amazing. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about this ink company. Every time I have anybody just try it once, what they say immediately is, wow, this really goes in like butter. This is pigmented. This is strong. Um, you can really see these colors stand out, and that's the best compliment to get. WorldTattooEvents.com, largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events worldwide. Lots of updating as conventions are rescheduling like crazy. So you definitely, especially if you're a traveling artist like myself, definitely want to check out on the daily and or weekly on the changes of the events that are happening worldwide. We have Dermalize Pro or Delize Pro, known as Dermalize Pro worldwide. Protect your art if using saran wrap. Watch videos of tattoos to see what it's about. Dermalizepro.com. They are great. I actually bought a little not Saniderm. Yeah, Saniderm from them, and clients had uh, no complaints whatsoever, which is what you want from them. So feel free to check them out. We got Tattoo Now, tattooniw.com from Gabe Ripley. Technology for tattooers, the leading edge in SEO and professional development for tattoos of all levels, who is now accepting new clients. And the founder inspiration being the Reinventing the Tattoo. Of course, we have to thank the one and only Guy Atchison for everything. GuyAtchison.com. You can get bio, encyclopedia, DVDs, machines, paintings, and countless of other things. So I've been on the hunt for his prints for a long time. So I will not disappoint in that. So feel free to check his stuff out, buy some new stuff, check out the Biomech Encyclopedia. That thing is absolutely amazing. The new Bible of a Biomech. uh, let's see here. Of course, we have to thank our affiliates, Fireside Tattoo, The Apprenticeship Diaries. Thank you guys so much for being an affiliate to Reinventing the Tattoo. You guys are absolutely amazing. Shout out to Jake Meeks and Amy Nichols. If you are looking for ways, tips, and tricks on improving your technical aspects of tattooing, feel free to check out Fireside Tattoo Network. He interviews amazing artists. He comes up with amazing subjects and content to put out there. And you can check it right out on YouTube. So thank you so much, Jake Meeks, for everything. And of course, Amy Nichols from The Apprenticeship Diaries. Absolutely amazing, once again, podcast. You put this on in the background. She interviews a whole bunch of people and talks about their beginning stories, their origin stories. And not all superheroes have the most amazing origin stories, but it's amazing to hear and amazing to hear what they go through and how they perceive through it. And it's very inspiring. So, absolutely check that out. She has amazing episodes. I believe I have a couple on there as well. So, feel free to go over to Spotify, or really, she's all over all the platforms. So, 100% go check it out. Please leave a positive review on the channel. Help us get the word out. If you'd like to host a Reinventing the Tattoo event or sponsor the community management at reinventingthetattoo.com. All right. Thanks everybody for joining in. We have Lou in here, which I'm glad. I'm glad it was quick for somebody to join in with us. I wanted our topic today to be how to take care of your body as a tattoo artist. Because as a new tot that is coming up in this industry, I'm slowly starting to learn how much my body is taking a toll on all of this. So that is what our topic of the day is going to be. And I wanted to talk about this solely because, oh man, my back has been killing me. And I really didn't notice a lot of this during my apprenticeship of how much of a physical toll tattooing takes on you. I mean, I watched my mentor, obviously have hand pains and back pains and really have it attack him in that manner. But really, of course, you don't really understand the full aspects of things until you do it for yourself. And it didn't take very long for my hands to start to cramp up and my elbows to start to hurt and my backs to start to hurt. So it wasn't until I got to the new shop that I'm at now where my boss was like, "Hey, man, you should probably go to a masseuse at some point. Do that on the regular." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, you have to do it if you want to have longevity in your career. You want to do this. You want to go to a masseuse at least, twice a month to get whatever is in there worked out. You want to do yoga, stretches, water, exercise, all that fun stuff." And that's when it really hit me that, because I had imagined tattoo artists being just super badass, like crushing a beer over their head and throwing it over their shoulders and just like, yeah, it's fine, it's whatever, it'll heal itself. And it wasn't until he talked to me about that I was like, oh, that's right, I have to take care of my body. I have to create longevity for my work because we all know that tattooing does not have a 401k plan. So
Well, you could start one, right? There's nothing that's stopping you from not pinching off 5% of your pay and putting it into a separate account. So
for
nothing.
retirement, oh, absolutely. Start your own
401ks.
401k.
That stuff's all in the stock market, right? I mean, anyways.
I think so. I don't know. I'm only 23, Gabe. I don't know what the stock market is.
Well, there we go. You should start. Frankly, I mean, either. But if you started pinching off 5% now and putting it away, then you wouldn't miss it, and you'd actually have a retirement. You don't need it. You can't make that excuse.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely not. Definitely do that. Take care of yourself in all aspects. But this is more, very much the realization of holy crap. Like you definitely need to take care of yourself if you choose this career. You can't just I'm sure you can in your early 20s party all day and then tattoo the next day. I've heard many stories of many people doing that, and oh my god, amazing, great, awesome. But my body deteriorates pretty fast for my age. So this is an open discussion of what we do to take care of our body. And do we do yoga? Do we work out? Do we go to a cryo chamber? What are we doing? So we have our good friends Lou Gomes and Lou Gomez. I'm so sorry, I always pronounce that wrong.
Oh,
Please
Gomez.
forgive me.
Okay.
And our good friend Melissa Sink here, who I think is showing me her heavy body acrylics. If not, then she should just put the whole thing away. Because
Good morning.
good morning,
If you
everybody.
don't mind me asking, how'd you find the link, you guys?
I went to the Reinventing and then went up to the menu and hit the watch and then found the date and the event.
Ah, perfect. And Lou, how'd you find it?
Same thing. I went to events, but it took me to a Google Calendar.
Ah, perfect.
I saw the blue link on there, and I just clicked on that. So
Awesome. You could save that Google Calendar, and it'll have all of the future events like this. Also, oh, cool. Okay, well, thanks for letting me know. Cheers.
Thanks, Gabe. All right,
You too,
so
Kier.
we'll start out with you, Lou. Is there anything that you do to take care of your body as far as do you do yoga? Do you work out a little bit? You stretch every morning, drink lots of water. What do you do?
all of the above. Thanks. No, just kidding. Stretching for sure. And for a long time, even before I was tattooing, I was very much into just stretching and just movements to kind of get my body started in the morning. And then exercise is huge. I recently started going to a boxing gym, and they're little half-hour sessions, but they do a lot for my mobility and my energy. Like I do it before going to work. You would think that's a bad idea because you're tired at work, but I'm actually a lot more fired up when I get to work, and I'm able to sit with my clients a lot longer because I've got that energy. But and finally, breaks. Whether you're a smoker or not, like every hour, just going outside, get out in that natural light. And I think it was Guy Aitchison had said I think it was in Staying Sharp. It was one of the DVDs from Tattoo Now that I had got. Looking at stuff out in the distance and kind of tracing it with your eyes and work those other muscles in your eyes. So there's a lot of little things you can do to kind of prevent that fatigue and the eye strain. Um, but yeah, it's all common sense stuff. Just stay active. You don't have to be a triathlete or anything like that. Just a little bit of yoga or some walking. Just get the blood flowing.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It wasn't until I got to my new shop that I'm at now where I really changed my diet as well. Like I stopped eating all the fast foods and the gross stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I do love me a good slice of pizza at times, but overall, I definitely stopped eating a lot of things, started eating a lot of other things, and that has seemed to help a lot. I've drank a lot more water, so that has helped as well with just being, I don't know, not as crunchy in the shoulders. Because I'm slowly learning that definitely your upper back area, your elbows and your hands really start to take a toll. And it doesn't take long. It really doesn't. Um, I think it was after I had officially gotten licensed, it probably took like 3 months or so before my hands started to start cramping up and stuff. And it wasn't until I did my first like top of shoulder bicep tattoo, like a bigger piece, that my shoulders started to hurt at the end. My elbows were hurting, and I was like, I've never ever experienced elbow pain. This is weird. But going home and doing ice packs and heating pads and tiger bombs and stretching and water and working out and yoga and all of that fun stuff can prevent a future problem, which will last, a month or so rather than a day or a couple hours. And that's something we don't want. Melissa, what is it that you do for taking care of yourself as far as a tattooer goes?
So for me, it's a little different because I have an ailment that is lifelong and degenerates me. Um, so my mornings consist of a half-hour soak in a nice hot bath.
Oh, hell yeah.
As hot as I can stand it. Usually I try and stretch throughout the day. If I have a session like a chest or something that requires me to stand, a considerable amount of time, I will do no more than 4 hours on a session like that because I wind up tweaking my back and my shoulders, and it just really messes with me. So I kind of try to set it up, my schedule, to where I don't have sessions back to back that are super physically strenuous. On top of that, I do yoga, and I'm trying to get back into my diet that did a lot better for me in earlier years. And then usually about once a month, I do a masseuse or a chiropractic, either or, depending.
You've tried that. I haven't been to a chiropractor yet, but something tells me in the back of my mind that I need a chiropractor. But I think that's just because like anything good that happens to my back, I feel like is awesome. So like if you could explain to myself and those who have never been to a chiropractic appointment, do you need like a referral to somebody, or can you just like make an appointment, or is it all different?
It depends really on what you're going in, like what your reasoning for going in is. Um, you know, posture on the long run can really change how you how your skeletal structure stays in one place. Um, I had back surgery when I was 18, and that's when I first started doing chiropractic visits. And it was beneficial in the sense that if I put something out of place, they could pop it back in.
Hmm.
So you switch wrong and you hear a pop and you're like, oh man, that's awful. They can put that back into place. Now, granted, you do have to take like rest afterward and drink plenty of water, and try to avoid doing said things again that put you out of place. But it does allow you to maintain a better posture, um, you know, stay out of pain. It's not just muscle fatigue, it's also how your body sits when you're tattooing or when you're doing this. Um, so for me, it's one of those, it helps to like realign my spine, um, but also to make sure that it's not just the muscles that are getting taken care of, but also my skeleton basically.
Oh, well, that's awesome. That I'm glad to hear that everybody, in their own terms, really hones in on taking care of their body. It's very important, and I'm starting to realize that now. I'm glad that I'm doing it at such a young age because hopefully it will create longevity for future here when she's starting to break down in the later years of tattooing. But I'm really glad that I was shown and that I was, being open to you guys talking about this so that it can prevent future injuries. Because there's nothing worse than seeing fellow tattooers succumb to sciatica or something because their body's just really hurting and they are breaking down at the seams, it seems. Not to be double standard like that. But as far as, you know, the food and water consumption, I drink so much water, like so much water. And I've noticed that somebody had told me that water is the oil to your body, just like it's, oil for a car. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. And it wasn't until I started drinking so much of it that I was like, oh my gosh, I can like rotate my arms and I'm not cracking as I'm rotating them all the time. And
It's almost magical how fast it makes you feel better. Like anytime I feel like I'm dragging a little bit, I'll have a glass of water and then I'll kick myself. I'm like, why don't I just do this more often? Because I feel better almost instantly.
You
yeah,
could get that into your morning routine, right? Wake up in the morning, have one big pint of water, boom, right out of the gate. Not even thinking about it, all of a sudden it's like right in there. Special forces drink a shit ton of water too. It's definitely a way to make the body perform for sure.
Sure.
Clearly,
yeah,
scientifically.
definitely a way to make you feel awake. That's for sure. Um, I also have started taking colder showers in the morning if I decide to take a shower in the morning. Like I'll take sure, I'll take like a warmer shower or whatever, but right before I get out, I turn that almost like all the way cold, like almost an ice bath. And I just sit there for as long as I can. And that itself wakes you up so much. Like I just feel so alert as soon as I'm out of the shower and I'm getting ready for my day. Like I feel like I'm on top of the world. I can tattoo anything. Like I feel like a badass tattooer. Like
Yeah, that's also biological, right? So the when your body's temperature is going down, time to go to sleep. When your body temperature is going up, to your point, it's pepping it up, right? So if you want to use this to go to sleep, you would have a hot shower or bath at night, so that you're setting the signals for your body to go to sleep. If you, but yeah, like to your point, if you have it cold and then you hop out, then you're the cue for your body is to pep up, like I said, get your energy, you're ready to go.
yeah, exactly. It's definitely an awakening, and I'm glad that I have so many tattooer inspirations to tell me like, hey man, you got to like, take care of your body. And thankfully we have a really great masseuse place right like a block down from our shop, and this place offers massages, but it also offers like aromatherapy showers, which I think are absolutely amazing. They're like it's a big giant room where it's just you, and you obviously are in the shower and you can change the temperature, but at the same time they're like pumping in steam that's scented like eucalyptus or lavender or something like that. And holy crap, it's amazing.
Sounds amazing.
That's like one of those things, and I went in there like kind of weirded out because I've never tried it before. And they were like, yeah, so like what kind of scent do you want? And I was like, scent? I was like, I don't know, like eucalyptus or something. They're like, oh, we have that. I'm like, oh, okay. And
You would probably
yeah,
kick me out. When they ask what kind of scent I want, I would say something like smoked brisket, and they would.
yeah, yeah, fresh cut grass on a summer's day. Do you have something like that?
I usually come pre-scented. Sorry.
Yeah, or I'm gonna fill it with scent. Don't worry. I guess that's hilarious. Yeah, no, absolutely. And so I went in and I, had a great time or whatever. My back felt great afterwards. And as I'm walking out, I felt like my whole voice and everything changed. I was like, you know what, guys, you guys have a great day, okay? Because and it made me think about the amount of people that would walk into that place super angry and cranky, but leave like, you know what? You enjoy your day, okay?
To that point, a lot of the physical stuff also has to do with mental state, right? I mean, not all of it. It's not like you can like think your way out of a sickness. On the other hand, I think we could probably all point to or have met or know tattooers who just have like a negative mindset or some whatever it is. It's that's frustrating their brains. Manifests itself in physical ailments. So sometimes it's just a matter of getting your brain kind of healthy to get mostly to get out of the bad habits. Again, there's obviously real physical issues that go on in biology. On the other hand, there is also a fair amount of people just kind of falling into the bad habits because they can. I guess the only other thing I'll say about this, to your point here about like what tattooers could be or should be and partying and all that. Like I think that one of the beautiful things about tattooing is it really enables you to be what it is that you want to be.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of tattooing is like fuck the norm, right? Or whatever, it's like we're figuring out how to be perfect in our own skin for this lifetime. And that can mean it can mean and it does mean almost anything, right? You can enable yourself to do whatever it is that you want, be it party your ass off. But and then the last thing about that is that tattooing also amps everything up. So if what your goal in life is to party your ass off and you end up in tattooing, all of a sudden that's not healthy. Like, I mean, I love to party, but like, it's not healthy to be able to push it up to 11 on that every day. So one of the things that tattooing will test you on is whatever it is that is your potential weaknesses. Basically it's an amplifier. So it's going to amplify all parts of you. And you want to make sure that you're as healthy as you could possibly be in all aspects of your life before you start on that roller coaster ride. Because like I said, it's amazing because it's almost like whatever it is that could be tested in your personality or psyche will be. So no matter how strong, like you have real healthy people. Again, I'll yield the floor here. I'm just saying that the human brain has a significant effect on some daily habits and physical manifestations of that.
Gabe, I'm glad you brought that up because I was just about to bring that up. Science now, we've always separated mind and body, and that's exactly how we say it, mind and body. And they're coming to realize now that they're one and the same. It's similar to when Einstein took space and time and put them together and created space-time, the theory of space-time. They're doing the same thing with mind body. So I totally agree on what you just said. Wherever your mind is, that's going to affect how your body behaves. And so I had a kid that worked at my shop back in Albuquerque that would come in sometimes and you could just see it in his face, like his life was just kicking his ass. And I'd pull him aside and say, listen, man, you got to leave that at the door when you come in here. And, if you're happy, your body's going to be, you can't just make somebody happy by telling them that, but with head. And it worked, man. Like after a while, he would try to come in with a smile on his face and just start the day with happy thoughts. And he'd make it through the whole day and, feel good about it.
Yeah, I have a couple of things to add to that. I'm so glad you brought that up. That is a great topic to continue into this. And I can say this during my apprenticeship, since I just got out of it, first of all, just getting out of your apprenticeship and being actually tattooing on your own, no mentor or anything, really makes you reflect on your entire apprenticeship as a whole and the way that you behaved. And I am happy to say that I was a little shit. I was like a very upset person all the time. And like you said, like your coworker or friend there, I was very much coming in every day with like, woe is me, God hates all type of attitude. And, it reflected my work 100%. It not only reflected my work, but it reflected my attitude. It reflected the friends that I had. It reflected the way I perceived life. It reflected everything. And I've had several people, including my mentor and my brother, come up to me on certain days and be like, listen, man, like, not to be this person, but this type of attitude is going to hinder your career, whether you like it or not. So
Sure.
It's up to you to decide if you want to change this attitude or continue down this path. And unfortunately, I can't stop this from happening, but you will see what's going to happen if you continue to live this way in this industry. Because, and he had said this, and it really was eye-opening to me of, do you think that you're having a bad day and everything like that, but do you think your client at the end of the day cares if you have a bad day or not? Because you're doing something permanent on them forever, so do you think, they may like to hear about it as far as conversation goes, whether you guys are talking about it or not, but at the end of the day, do they really care, or do they want a really good tattoo and a good experience? And it's your job to do that for them.
Sure.
Well, and you're missing out on the energy, right? When you're bitching about your life,
Yeah.
the client is paying you pretty damn good money to sit there and for that experience, and they're going to remember it forever. So I would, oh yeah, absolutely. It is about the experience as much as and the sweet spot is both. When the tattooer gives a shit and has great art, and the client cares and wants good art, and all that. But yeah, no, it's yeah, fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that happens a lot of the times, and I've noticed it. Where in the very beginning part of my career, when certain tattoos that I've done weren't really up to par, but it was the experience that I gave my client that's the reason why they came back, is because they loved the experience. They felt like they made a friend, and they want to come back just to have that experience again. And
100%.
yeah, and that was when it was super eye-opening to me that, a lot of portion of it, of course, is making a very good tattoo and having, great work and great technique and all that fun stuff. But a huge portion of it is the experience you give your client and whether or not they're going to leave the door saying, wow, that was a really fun time I had.
Yeah.
Because I've had several clients come in saying that they hate a tattoo purely because the experience was awful. It could be a solid tattoo, but they'd be like, yeah, the experience was horrible and I hate this tattoo because of it. Because now that memory is attached to it. So it's super important to make sure that, like you said, Lou, that you check that at the door. and you saying that brought me right back to my apprenticeship when they would tell me that, as far as, hey man, like it doesn't matter, check that at the door, that's outside, this is inside.
Yeah. It'll be
um,
waiting for you when you leave.
exactly, you can cry as soon as you get in your car, start the engine, take a minute to yourself if you feel like you need to. um, but at the end of the day, as soon as you walk into those doors, you're a professional, and you need to seek out that portion of it. And that brings up a good book, actually, that I have read, and it's called Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield. And I talked about this book on Ricardo's class a couple weeks ago. And let me pull up the while I'm talking about it. It's a 3-part series by Stephen Pressfield. And this book, I started reading this book during my apprenticeship, and not gonna lie, it saved my life, and it still saves my life every day. Every time I kind of slip through the cracks or what may have you, I reread the whole series, and it reminds me of what is important, as far as your journey as an artist. And it makes me feel not alone as far as the situations that I come across. Um, but so the first book is The War of Art, not to be confused with Art of War.
Uh,
And it pretty much talks about what self-sabotage is and how self-sabotage could ruin your career if you allow it. And self-sabotage revolving around many different symptoms and avenues and activities that you may be doing that could be translating into a very dark path, rather than rewiring that path and coming down to something else, be it, your attitude, or the way that you treat people, or the way that you treat yourself. And so that first book pretty much talks about ways that you can just have a better schedule for yourself, and be mentally stronger as an artist, because that is another huge part of being an artist, and especially in tattooing. The second book is called Nobody Wants to Read Your Shit. Sorry for swearing, but that's the name of the book. Um, and that book pretty much dumbs down your ego, because as soon as you have a great achievement happen, you now feel like you're on top of the world, and that fun little ego is going to come in. And even though to me the ego does not exist, to others it does, that ego will come in and take over your personality, and therefore hinder your progress in your career. So that pretty much helps you decipher that. But the last book is called Turning Pro. Tap into your inner power and create your life's work. That's what it's called. Here, let me see. Screen share it here. Gabe, you gotta let me screen share, bud.
Let's see here. Can I do so? Oh, hold on here.
Let me see if I can find a good quote. So the last book is Turning Pro.
That's weird. Hold on a second here.
That pretty much separates what the difference between what a professional and an amateur is, in the way that they behave. So a great example that I love out of that book is he talks about his first professional failure. And he's a writer and all that fun stuff. And he was talking about how he did this movie that he was so excited for. He thought it was going to do so good in the box office and do it like amazing. And when it released, it actually flopped like horribly. Like he would, go up to movie theaters where it was playing and be like, what do you think about the movie? And people would just trash it, and it did horrible. And it was just the worst thing that had happened in his career. And he had gone over to what he had called his mentor, and he was like, I don't know what happened. Like, this is crazy. I thought I was doing so good. And his, mentor friend,
You can screen share now.
he had replied to him with a simple phrasing of, you just had your first professional failure. And that means that you truly are a professional. And that really stuck with me hard. Because failure does not mean that you are an amateur. You're going to fail through your whole career many different ways, but it's a life lesson that you need to learn. And the way that you take it afterwards is how you're going to be responsible over it. Let me see here. It's a very short book. Each book is like an hour read. I'm not even joking.
It
Big
puts it,
font, you know.
puts in my mind another book that I had just read that was Failing Forward. It's an older book, but it's got a lot of the same concepts. And I think it's either Brian Tracy or John Maxwell that wrote it. It's called Failing Forward. And it goes over the same things. Like my biggest, I don't know, not mentor, but someone I look up to currently is Elon Musk. And one of his philosophies is fail fast and fail often. The more times you fail, the quicker you get to the prize at the end, which is success. So, you know,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. I've heard that many times too. I've heard fail as fast as possible and as many times as possible.
Yeah, yeah. I would propose that a lot of those maxims and stuff might work for some people some of the times, but none of them work for all the people all the times. Like certainly you can't learn without failing, but sometimes you could listen and sometimes you can learn lessons without the failure. And I don't know. But like I said, I definitely dig the sentiments, but I wouldn't be myself if I wasn't somewhat contrarian. And it's just to point out, like, certainly there's a lot of failures that could be catastrophic. And, just because it doesn't kill you doesn't necessarily make you stronger. It could just make you weaker. Anyways, carry on. Sorry.
No worries. There's definitely like obviously you can't just fail and then continue on with your day. You have to, fail and then take that as a lesson and learn from that lesson, of course.
for sure.
And mitigate your risks,
Yeah,
making sure
absolutely.
you're not, failing outside of your realm to,
You know,
get it
and
back together.
the word failure needs to be defined too. You know, the failure doesn't have to be catastrophic failure. It could just mean like, you were aiming for this certain level of detail on a design or impact, and you didn't quite make it there, but it's done. And so, you can call that a failure, but it doesn't have to be a catastrophic failure. You just didn't meet that particular goal you're aiming for. So you learn from it. Why didn't I get to that level of detail? Oh, I went to, I didn't go to a small enough paintbrush or whatever, so that next time you go, you can push beyond that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is definitely, I've said this many, many times that every single artist out there needs to read this series. He has one right after turning pro called The Artist's Journey, and that one is just as amazing. He really just writes from the deeper side of every artist's brain in some way, shape, or form. And he's like one of those writers that will go back in the book and change the subject from being a he to a she, a they to a you type of situation. So he's really talking to everybody. And he's the type of writer that will only write based on his own failures and experiences. And that's, to me, I can respect that forever. Um, so he has this one little segment here where he talks about the difference between, like I said, the amateur and the professional. And he has a huge list of them, but this is a very small cap of it. The professional acts in the face of fear. The professional accepts no excuses. The professional plays it as it lays. The professional is prepared. The professional does not show off. The professional dedicates himself to mastering technique. And the professional does not hesitate to ask for help. So he kind of, it's just a reminder type of book, and it's absolutely phenomenal. I've listened to his Joe Rogan little interview that he did a long time ago. I've listened to many interviews that he did, and he's a very humble human being, and only wants to help younger generations of artists discern that evil point in their mentality that could change their attitude, like my older self and a lot of other people. And I always like to call it apprentice mentality, because you see it very common in a lot of apprentices where, of course, they're going to be so worked up because they're not tattooing, they're not doing their career, they're not doing what they desperately want to do inside of them. And the way that they handle it at times is very apprentice mentality, as far as attitude, or I'm not going to be the best, I'm not going to make it type of mentality. Things that will really hurt you in the future if you continue to allow yourself to think in that aspect. um, But yeah, not to get so deep. 'Cause
Welcome to
we
your
have-
Monday.
It's
Yeah, I
all
know,
good.
right?
You know, I think that we'll find as the tattoo industry or tattoo, the art matures, it's just going to be harder and harder to get in like that. You know, I mean, right now there's still a little bit of, you can still get in pretty young, and but more and more, again, the most successful artists are the ones that already, have the positive mindset, right? Like, and to tattoo on somebody, before you actually have that is kind of, I mean, again, it's fun. There's tattoo clients for everybody, and it's all good. That's one of the amazing parts about it. But yeah, I think that the sooner people could get, and it's, sooner people can tune into that, then the faster, or not the faster, but like the more solid the progress will be.
Yeah. And truthfully, if you have that sort of mentality, not to call you out or anything, but but you are 100% making the journey much more difficult for yourself. And I can say that purely from experience, not as a call out, because I made my apprenticeship at times very miserable, when at times it wasn't, because to be upset, just because my mentality just wasn't there, because I thought I was going to be a failure, or I was never going to tattoo. When am I going to tattoo? When am I going to be as good as you? Referring to my mentor. And all of those things hindered me so much. And, I missed out on so many opportunities because of my mentality and my attitude. And the refusal for attitude change really, to this day, as looking back on it, it's just like, geez, Kier, why did you do that? And it's such an interesting aspect, going from living in that realm to looking back on it and reflecting. And reflection is always, in my opinion, a good thing, uh, but should only be a what not to do for future, and be consistent and being grateful of what's happening right now, rather than thinking 10 years from now, which I don't do.
10 years. I was gonna say, man, imagine being fucking 50 and still thinking to yourself, how can I be 50 fucking years old and still I'm still learning this shit. This is fucking entry level stuff. So don't worry. It's just a get used to the process.
Oh yeah, okay, all right, that makes me feel a little bit better, Gabe, thank you.
Although I'm not 50, just I'm speaking hypothetically.
Yeah. Yeah, hypothetically, don't worry.
When you're
No, trust
47
me.
years old and you're learning basic shit
Yeah.
again,
I-
you're like, didn't I forget this? Or didn't I know this
Everybody
already?
at some point is going to learn basic things, no matter what age you are, but it's how we perceive them, and what our responsibility is over it afterwards, um but yeah, good morning, everybody. 9 o'clock in the morning, we're
Six for Melissa, right? 6:30.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, it's always 6 for Melissa, and she's got like half a painting done. Don't worry about it, guys, that's fine. Are you making like
Beautiful
the little
thing.
ocean? That's nice.
So Neil's in the chat room. Neil Foster, he's been in there for a little bit. Atomic Injections is.
Yeah, we got some awesome comments in here. Neil Foster says, "Slow down, Melissa."
No can do.
Jeez.
Sorry, buddy.
Mm.
I appreciate the sentiment though.
Yeah, absolutely. But do you guys listen to like any like philosophers or anything like that to give yourself some mental strength of any sort?
Not for strength, but I do listen to them.
Yeah. I read a lot of philosophy. Well, I used to, and I'll go back to it occasionally. I don't really have a favorite, but yeah.
What type of books do you read, or
I am all over the place with books. So like right now, I just finished reading it's kind of a biography on Elon Musk. Yeah, I'm in love with him. Whatever, get over it. And next after that is Bukowski. I was having a conversation and I realized I've never actually read any of Bukowski's poetry, and I need to. I've seen it quoted so many times. I'm like, why have I not read this dude? So my girlfriend got me a book on a bunch of his collected poetry. So that's next on my reading list.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll read Star Wars novels. I'll read, history. It doesn't matter as long as I'm reading something, learning.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm a big reader as well. Melissa, do you read any books? Any cool books? Any recommendations?
Um, I read all sorts of stuff. I'm a bit of a bookworm. I kind of go off and on though, so sometimes I'll read a ton and then sometimes I won't read nothing. Um, I read about things like the tipping point, about um, how to do things. I don't really read a lot of fiction stuff. Just
So real quick,
not
that was the
beneficial.
Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, right?
Yeah, that's one that I'm in the middle of right now. It's really hard for me to name titles without my tablet in front of me because most of the time I read digitally. Um, so give me one sec here. But outside of that, I would say my weekly dose of um, philosophy, business sense, that kind of thing actually comes from another tattooer whom I took a class from. And that's Matt Clemmer. He has a podcast out that is pretty amazing, regardless of whether you're tattooing or you're just a business person. And that's the Tattoo Guardians podcast. But there it is. There's my Kindle. So I read stuff like stuff about introverts because I'm very much so. Extended mind, how to increase your capacity to learn. I read things like social media marketing. I'd say probably as far as like what's helped me art wise, it'd be Drawn to Life, which is the Walt Disney books.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's two of those. I have so many books. The Obstacle is the Way, Ryan Holiday. And just all sorts of, I guess psychological or, how to think bigger. And it's all just ideas, right? So you kind of take little bits here and there and you kind of mush it together and that's your thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least that's how I do it. Or it's, I'm reading through something and it's a reminder of something else I read.
Yeah. I think everybody should read books. I'm an old fart, I guess, like that. I think just like a physical book. I like physical books more than audibles. I do like audibles for like long trips and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. I have like a huge list of audibles on there. But I like holding books and smelling them and flipping pages, and I like that physical thing. So,
Oh yeah.
I've been reading a lot of comic books as far as understanding comics. I don't have his name.
Scott McCloud, I think.
Yeah, love that book. It's like a Bible to.
Yeah.
I love that book so much. It takes me a little bit. Not gonna lie, it takes me a little bit. Not because of the author, because of myself. To reread a lot of the pages to really understand what he's really trying to put out there. But I love the fact that the way that he wrote that book, with just basically being a comic book, so it's an easy read, but it's very informative on like life thoughts and how you perceive life and how you understand comics as a whole, the differentiation between comics and pretty much just what he sees it as. And I love learning like that. It's how I think I learn art best is taking what is actually happening in real life and being like, this happens because of this type of thing. That's probably why I'm obsessed with color theory.
Yeah.
But
That book. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I read a lot of those books. I've read a lot of like Alan Watts books. I've read a whole bunch of those. I've read, let's see here. Melissa actually, I think, was the one that told me to read The Right Side of the Brain.
Yep.
I've delved into that a little bit. A little bit. I actually bought that right after talking to Melissa for the first time ever. I've read Peter Hahn's Dynamic Bible, my color theory book that pretty much is more of a science book than actual art. And of course, when I start thinking about books, all of them flee my brain.
Isn't
All
that
of the
normally
Stephen
how it is?
Pressfield ones that have ever existed. I know I already mentioned that, but once again, everybody needs to read his books. They're absolutely amazing. Yeah. No, so like with books and stuff like that, what I tend to do at times is I keep little tiny notebooks inside each book and I actually write notes down while I'm reading them because I'm a very active thinker and I have a very ADHD brain. So while I'm reading a book, I'll start thinking about a concept that is following an example of what they're talking about. And the next thing you know, it's been like an hour and a half and I've only read like 2 pages. So I've learned that just jotting quick notes down while I'm reading actually makes me progress through the book faster and actually, has a reference or cliff note type deal. So if I want to reference back to that book, I can. And there are these little notebooks here. They're really tiny. Like literally, they're like 10 pages maybe. You can buy a pack of them at any type of CVS, Walgreens, anything like that. And there's like notes inside. This is the one that I actually brought to Miami. We went to Bruno Salvatierra and I went to a zoo and studied animals. So I got some animal studies in here. They're really horrible, but that's okay. So keeping little tiny notebooks for me, works. And Ricardo Sturdivant was actually the one that showed me that, only because he kept a little tiny one in his wallet, and I was like, you can do that? That's amazing. So that's to me a great avenue of studying. Our books for sure. But unfortunately, we are coming to that time. 10 a.m. I can't go longer today. I do have a mess behind me of things, and I'm actually figuring out my internet problem today. So, whoa.
Okay, just real quick, while we're still on the topic, Atomic Injections has offered up Stuart Wilde as a recommended author. So thanks for throwing that in the chat room there.
Yeah, thank you, Atomic. Man, you got to start joining in on a couple things. Like, we miss you here, bud.
Right?
I see you all the time in the chats and everything, and I've met you a couple times here on the stream, and I know you can hear me, and I'm calling you out right now. So it's not just Melissa that's getting called out for, her heavy body acrylics and non-usage. It's you too, Atomic. You got to hop on a couple times, my friend.
I'm using them today for you, by the way.
Is that them right there?
Yeah.
Aren't they tacky?
They're beautiful. I love that I can water it down like I would normally, and I still have full coverage.
Right?
That's amazing. And it stays wet a little bit longer than the stuff I normally use. So this is really awesome for a base layer.
Okay, I know I said we were kind of zoning out here and closing down, but I want to talk to each of you about what you're working on first. Melissa, girl, tell me what's up. What's going on? Is that what you're using right now in front of me?
Yeah. So this is the golden heavy body acrylic classic theory, color theory, which is amazing because it actually came with like a full-on color wheel with it. And I'm just doing some background stuff to see how it lays out. So this is the insert that comes with it.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And then it pops out to a full color wheel, as well as with like tints and how to make black without black. So I thought that was rad.
What?
But yeah, today I'm just I'm playing with it with some background colors because backgrounds are easy and they're quick, and then I can do whatever over the top of them and make a painting out of it.
Okay, so
Um,
you're not gonna be you're only gonna be using it for background, or are you gonna paint with the entire painting with it?
I like it for just the background at the moment. I might try and do like, um, I might try and do a little bit of normal painting with it just to see, at least until I get down to like final layers. But so far I dig it. So
Okay,
there's that.
my highest suggestion for you would be to, I'm sure you're going to do this, you know, because you're Melissa and you're great at what you do, but definitely if you're going to continue using heavy body acrylics for everything, let's say, um, definitely use matte medium, like on top of stuff when you're done layering. I talked about that in my last class, uh, but you're going to want to get some sort of matte medium. Once your layer is done, or you say a layer is done in your head, put a layer of matte medium down. Trust me. Because what's going to
Why
happen
is
is
that?
when you start, especially with those heavy body acrylics, especially with the heavy body acrylics, what's going to happen is when you start layering and layering those heavy body acrylics, what will tend to happen is if you start working one area too much, you're going to kick up all of those layers. So you're going to get like straight bored again. And you're like, oh shit. And I'm sure every artist in the beginning of time, when they started painting, realized what that like hole happens. You know what I mean? When you're working up a layer and that hole happens, when then like there's like
Yeah.
a gunk of ness around the hole, and then it's just like the canvas. Yeah, that's gonna happen a lot if you don't put a layer of matte medium on top of it. To me, the matte medium is pretty much just sealing your layer. So I use I don't know if you can kind of see here, maybe or maybe not. This is, I just use like a simple Liquitex matte medium, nothing crazy. Like this is partially like pretty much almost gone because I use it so much. But every time that I say to myself, okay, this layer's done, this is the underpainting, this is whatever stage, I'll wait till it's dry completely, you know, hair dry even a little bit on cool, and
Right.
put a layer of matte medium down and then let that air dry. Because I've noticed from past experiences and failures that if I blow dry matte medium, even on cool, it will tend to crack a little bit. And it will tend
Huh.
to keep the top layer hard, but still have that bottom layer of the matte medium still wet a little bit and tacky. So
That's good to know.
add that to your list, Melissa.
Totally.
Awesome. And Lou, my new friend, what are we working on today? Is this what we were working on last week?
It is, but it's a complete redesign of it. So I had worked up that last drawing of the St. Gabriel, and I liked it, but I wasn't in love with it. And I've got time. His appointment isn't for another couple of weeks. So I went back to it. I took the pictures of his arm and what's all existing there, dropped it into a new project, and completely changing the angle of the character. And I like this one, I think, a little bit better. It's a little more dynamic, kind of coming out. And now going back into reinventing the tattoo and refreshing myself on a lot of the drawing theories there. With this one, I really harped on, let me pull up the layer. Might have deleted it. No, there it is. Some of the flow lines that were on the arm, the muscle around the elbow, and a lot of these muscle lines. This piece just really, to me, seems to flow and fit a little bit better in this really awkward space to work with.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
just kind of trying to go that extra mile for this client. He's been a good client for me. I could have showed him the other drawing I did. He probably said go ahead, but this way I can give him either a couple of options or a much better option than what I had initially drawn for him.
So let me ask you this, right? When you're drawing something, right, be it for a client or whoever, at what point do you decide, all right, you know, like I don't think I like this. I think I'm going to start over. Because that's hard for a lot of people to really be like, you know what, scrap it, start over, rather than try and finagle with it for 6 hours and then be like, yeah, no, I'm not about this.
A good cue for me is if I keep going back to selecting an area and manipulating it, and I keep trying to change that same area. If I've done that 3 or 4 times, 5 or 6 times, something's inherently wrong with the design. And I either got to erase that whole area, or sometimes I will just start all over again. And before I got into tattooing, I focused mainly on comic book art. So I'm a pretty quick sketcher where I can get my basic shapes, my basic shadows laid in pretty quickly and know like, okay, this is something I can work through. Um, so when I have to start all over again, it's not a big deal for me because I know pretty quickly I can get a new idea sketched in, and without those inherent problems, whether it's in proportion or perspective. Uh, but anyway, yeah, if I find that I'm really messing around with one specific part of this design over and over again, I gotta trash it and start all over again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's definitely that you need to have a, almost a detachment to your work so that you don't get attached to every piece to make that every single piece absolutely amazing that
Right.
you can make it.
I've
Yeah.
invested
So
doesn't mean it's a good drawing. Just because you put 20 hours into a drawing doesn't mean you have to stay with it.
yeah.
All you're doing is amplifying the problems that are in it. So best to just scrap it and start over.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it'll actually save you a lot too and make you feel a little bit better once you do and then you scrap it and then you realizing that scrapping it was the best decision because now that you have a fresh start. You can start over, you can make the composition completely different. So that's definitely a cool thing. And I definitely wanted to ask that, for artists out there that may necessarily have a tough time crumpling up that piece of paper and throwing it out and starting over. Um, and I wanted to ask as well, when you are making a piece like this that is, filling in an area or something like that, do you go straight to a sketch or do you study first a little bit? Do you do some thumbnails? Like, what's your process like with that?
It really depends on subject matter. If it's something I'm really familiar with, I'll just start sketching right away. If he said, I just want like some religious iconography, like a Sacred Heart or a cross or whatever, something like that, I'll just start sketching right away. Where this is Saint Gabriel, I wanted to do a little research first and find out certain things that would identify him as Saint Gabriel. And so I start with this one. I started with research first. So it's different depending on the tattoo. Um, but all the tattoos that exist on his arm, I've done. So I'm really already familiar with everything that's on that arm. So I have that knowledge to direct what I'm going to draw to fill in on here. If that makes any sense.
All right. Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for answering my questions. Thank you
Anytime.
for the answers. Those are great. Thank you for hopping in too. You're a new regular, and this is awesome. I'm so happy that everybody decides to join in with me, so I don't have to talk to myself. Because let me tell you, that is boring. Lots of ahs and ums and okay. My life is not exciting, so there's not much to talk about. But thank you guys so much for joining on. I really appreciate the both of you very, very much. Thank you for taking on a deep conversation of taking care of yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally. Um, and we're all here just to be better artists for ourselves and to inspire other artists. As the great Stephen Pressfield says, an artist should only be an inspiration and an example for others. So, with that, this is our time to say goodbye. Melissa, do you want to start us off with your closing here at 6 a.m.? Beautiful morning.
Sure. So my name is Melissa Sink. You can find me on Instagram at MAC_MISSA. I'm located out in Staten, Oregon. And yeah, I'm enjoying my heavy body acrylics. Just try them.
Hell yeah. I've been waiting so long, Melissa, for like dreaming about it. I'm just like, when is she gonna use them so I can talk about them too? I like painting too, Melissa. I just like talk about it. Thank you so much, Melissa. You're great. All right, we got our new friend Lou over here. You can close us off. Let us know where people can find you. Maybe book appointments with you, where you're located, all that fun stuff.
Sure thing. My name is Lou Gomes. You can find me on Instagram at Lou Gomes Serenity Art. That's all one word. And I tattoo out of a shop called Mass Ink in East Bridgewater, Massachusetts. You can find me there Tuesday through Saturday, 12 to 8. Best way to get in touch with me, though, is by my email, serenityartlou@gmail.com.
Perfect. If you guys are in the Mass area, amazing tattooer right here that would probably love to tattoo all of you. And with that, we are on our closer here to myself. Hello, everybody. My name's Kirsten Franklin. I am a tattooer out of Western Massachusetts. I work in a studio called Wanderlust Tattoo Studios in Amherst, Massachusetts. My books are wide open, so come hang out if you want to get a tattoo. Check out my work at Frankie Says Things on Instagram or on Reinventing the Tattoo at Frankie Tattoos Things. I do the Monday morning drawing groups, which is what we are doing right now at 9 a.m. Eastern Time every Monday. And come join me on Thursdays if you actually want to learn some more specific topics. Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, I do my actual class, my Thursday morning fundamentals, where we learn new topics, learn new things, learn new artists, and then we get to join in together and draw and talk about, similar topics that we're talking about right now. Yeah. All right. Cool. This is our closer. This is our final goodbye. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you so much to Lou. Thank you so much to Melissa. Thank you so much to Gabe, Lauren, Guy, Kyle, Sandy, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being nothing but inspiration to me to continue to bust ass. And I hope to see you all in person at some point, maybe tattoo next to each other, learn some things. And thank you so much to the Horsemen, of course. Jason, Bruno, Ricardo, you guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you guys so much. And everybody have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there, okay?